And as you begin to get fatigued, it's okay to swing. Use a little body English. Nothing wrong with swinging, cheating a little bit to get a few extra reps.
If you start to cheat when you're doing lateral raises, stop. Hi everybody, it's your boy Johnny Shreve, baby, promise to tell like it is. Welcome back to an episode of Coaching Up. Today we're gonna coach up old Greg. That's right, guys. We're gonna coach up your boy, Greg Doucette. We just did a video on get boulder shoulders the right way. He's critiquing Athlean-X. I'm gonna critique Greg Doucette to make sure we're seeing if he can actually put out some good information on how to get your shoulders bigger and better the optimal way. If you haven't seen the video yet, I suggest you guys go over and check it out. Some great information in here.
2 exercises that you need to develop boulder shoulders. And so perhaps you don't have an hour to train your shoulders, or you're like me, you're training your shoulders 3 times a week, doing a full body workout. And so you simply can't do that much volume.
Greg is gonna do lateral raises, one of his exercises he likes to do. But guys, again, we're gonna make sure we do these correctly. So guys, when you're following any of your favorite YouTubers, make sure when they're telling you what to do, they're doing it well themselves as well. Anyway, I like doing dumbbell lateral raises. So guys, we wanna make sure that when your favorite influencer is telling you what to do, we wanna make sure they're doing it correctly. So the reason why I don't like doing dumbbells is because we're simply not going to get the best out of it in terms of range of motion and tension on the muscle. Again, when we're doing this, literally from here to here, it's not that hard. What's hard from the dumbbell lateral raise is from here to here. Now, when you're watching Greg do it, he's doing his best that he can to show you guys how to do it. But things I want to make sure that you guys avoid is a lot of neck and trap movement, as well as only really getting the weight up to here. Now, he's only getting to here, which is gonna miss the mark, unless you're doing like some type of a partial where we're starting from here and just kind of floating this position here. That kind of makes sense. But if we're doing a full range of motion lateral raise and we start from here and only end up here, we're missing the mark by not getting ourselves at least to parallel, right? Even coming a little bit higher is good. And you've probably seen me do something on a couple machines where I've came all the way up. Again, when we're using a machine or cables, you're getting constant tension. But since we don't have a machine, we're using dumbbells, we wanna make sure we get to that end range where it's the hardest. So watching Greg and do my best to kind of mimic Greg is he's coming up, arms are bent, and his head's forward like this, and he's only getting to here. Now, he might be at the end of his set because he trains harder than last time, right to failure. So he might not be getting the full range because of that, but you guys need to make sure your shoulders are back away from your ears. Your head's up. You don't want your neck doing anything. We want our chops to kind of just chill out, and from here, lifting the weight all the way up and down and controlling it. And if you can't take a weight and do it like this and control the weight up and down, remember, we want to make sure that this weight from here to here, we want to get that full range so we're in that area really working the delt from here. If you cannot achieve that with the weight you have in your hands and the weight you're using is making you do this, lower the weight, and then you can train harder than last time. So guys, again, let the weight pull your shoulders down, shoulders back with your ears, chest up, keep good form, nice neutral spine, and then pulling with your elbows. Think of your elbows pulling the weight up and then controlling it down. And pulling up and controlling it down. We don't want this. We don't need any of this. We are simply trying to make this as hard as we possibly can by making sure our form is as great as we can possibly make it. So from here, no momentum, pulling up and controlling it down. Pulling up and controlling it down. Make sure you get at least to here. Not here, you are missing the mark. Get yourself all the way up and all the way down. All right.
And so if your left side not quite as strong as your right, start on the left side and then proceed to the right. And in comparison, what do I say you should do? Well, I think a machine shoulder press.
I am going to agree 100% with Greg on that. If I'm going to tell anybody, if you're stuck and you only got a few exercises to do, find yourself a machine that you can use, that you can put yourself into, and then do what you need to do. Now, if you have that option, great, but if you don't have that option, well, then you have to go to some other things, and I would say maybe head over to the Smith machine or just do your other exercise and then put that at the end. But let's watch Greg?
Something that's pin selected that's very easy to adjust. And for the most part, every gym has 1 or 2, maybe even 3 of these machines.
Couple things. So Greg's form in terms of like tempo is great, but making some small little mistakes that a lot of people do. And again, that's in terms of, like I always say, stacking your joints. And a lot of times, a lot of people miss the mark when they are training. The problem is that for the most part, people are watching to see what to do. And then when they look over, they're looking in the gym, they're trying to see how to do things. And like, man, this is work. Then they turn to YouTube and they're watching YouTube to see what to do there. But then, like the thing goes, like the saying goes, monkey see, monkey do. Shut the up. Y'all be chilling now with the monkey. Anyway, we want to make sure that when we are in this machine, any kind of pressing machine, and Greg's doing the same thing, and I coach this right from the ground up. Make sure our feet are on the ground, we're in a position where we have some good leverage. I need to be able to push myself here. Don't be so overly wide because, again, even though we're doing shoulder press, we still need to be in a great alignment from the ground up. This is sitting on a wobbly base. Even though you're sitting, you're in a wobbly base because my hips are all this way and I'm not really even comfortable this way. So get yourself in a position where, again, you're almost like you're squatting. If I was gonna get up and I can just do this and sit back down, bam, that's how you wanna look. So when you're driving from your feet, they're in a good position here to drive. Think about doing a squat like this. You're gonna just pull your groin, I don't know. Or maybe you're doing sumos. Maybe because Greg's the sumo deadlifter primarily, that's where he finds his leverage. I'll give him that. But for you guys, make sure you keep yourself aligned like so. Now, when we're here, we're pushing our butt in the back of this bench, keeping the core engaged, not sucking it in, but engaged, tight. Like you got a buddy come here, we can punch you in the stomach. And then from here, we want to stack the joints. This machine is going this way. If I go like this, which Greg is kind of doing, the elbows are behind. And as you might be doing this and thinking, yes, I'm doing a good job, we're missing the mark because we're basically doing this. We want to stack those joints. And here's a big difference between the elbows being behind the weight and pressing or stacking the joints, right? Fist, wrist, and elbows are going to travel under this in the same pathway of the machine. That's what I mean by stacking the joints. As you can see, and if I took out a ruler and drew a geometric, something where I can just show you the angle going here, boom, there you go. You can see this is going in this direction. So you want your elbows to go in that direction. You don't want them back here because when they're back here, think about it, you should be probably pressing this way. But unfortunately, this isn't an incline machine, it's a shoulder press machine. So we wanna stack those joints, and that's gonna give you better alignment and better pathway. And also, it's gonna force that load onto your delts primarily. If we do this, we're gonna get some impingements here, and then the chest feels a little wonky, and your collarbone and all that stuff is all jammed up, and you're kind of doing this stuff here. So again, stack the joints, fist, wrist, and elbow here, and then pressing up. And again, use a weight where you can continue to do this and you can keep the integrity of your form the entire set. Training to failure or not, we want to make sure that we have good form because if we don't, that sometimes may lead to being injured and then you get no gains.
Pick the one that you like the most. When I work out, I like to go from one machine to the other. It saves time, and so I'm doing kind of a circuit style of training. But because of that, sometimes the machine I want is taken. And so I'm not gonna sit there, wait for 5 minutes for that person to finish. I simply move on, look for the other machines at free.
Totally agree. Do what you can do with what you have at the times you have it. Do not sit around waiting and waiting and waiting. You can easily change up the exercise a little bit and make it work for you. And again, do find a machine or an exercise that you connect the best with, and then take that thing somewhere. We're gonna take it. Take it somewhere. Hit that to the cows come home. Is that the word? Is that the term? Take that exercise till the cows come home. What? Find the machine that you connect with and just hit that shit. Just smack it down. Beat it down. Work out. Get a pump. Do something. I don't know. Just work out.
Try not to go too heavy. In my personal opinion, 8 reps, that should be a minimum, but better to do somewhere between 10 and 15 repetitions. Now, if you're a beginner, you don't have to train to failure.
So do you need to go to failure? Is that good advice? Yes and no. Right? Do I go to failure all the time? I do not. If you're advanced, you know what failure feels like. You've probably been down that road a bunch of times. So you know intuitively during your set when you're coming close to failure. Do you need to train to failure all the time to build muscle? No, you do not. To give you guys more of a, I don't know, a visual or understand a little more, we're looking at like an RPE of like 7 or 8, or like an RIR of like 3, reps in reserve or rate of perceived exertion, right? You do not have to train to failure all the time. That's gonna hinder actual growth and recovery, right? But here and there, it's completely fine. Just know when to pull back and know when to push forward.
Drop the weight 20 to 30 pounds and then repeat for another set. That allows me to get more effective reps, as Jeff likes to do. And so regardless of the machine, you're going to be working hard. And it's a lot safer than using dumbbells. With dumbbells, sometimes you're trying to prop up the weight, swinging 100 pounds and then pressing it overhead.
Who's doing 100 pounds? Are you guys doing 100-pound shoulder press? Because I'm not. Anyway, let's keep going here. All right.
Of doing the cheat lateral, where you have to use a very heavy weight, swing, angle yourself forward, and arch at the top. I don't believe most people will do this effectively. I feel as though most people will end up ego lifting and not do it effectively. Versus what I'm suggesting, which you're going to watch right now, I do think it's a little bit better. In comparison, what I like to do is a standing side lateral superset with a bent over lateral. That way you're working both the side delt and the rear delt in one combined exercise. Begin the exercise with strict form, and as you begin to get fatigued, it's okay to swing, use a little body English. Nothing wrong with swinging, cheating a little bit to get a few extra reps.
If you start to cheat when you're doing lateral raises, stop. Find a weight that you can achieve maximum amount of fatigue or stimulus, or your set intensifier makes it hard, but your gauge to know when to stop is when you start using a bunch of body English. You do not want to use a bunch of body English. You need to have a good variable to understand what failure looks like. So if your failure is, you know, one, this is, you know, you're great here, then you're like, then at the end, by the end of your lift, you're like, oh yeah, trigger the last time, sweet. That's not true failure. That is throwing everything else in the mix to make failure happen. If you can do 10 to 20 reps and you get to the end of your rep and you're like, and then you're like, you can't get any more, you're done. If you're doing 10 to 20 reps, you fail at 15, technically, you're fine. Going past that, getting 5 more reps like this isn't necessary. Now, a cool thing to add in without effing your form up is doing partials. Simple. You get to your rep here, you can no longer get full range of motion up to here. We're here whenever our form is good, and we're, and then you're like, that's your last one, you're like, you know, there's no way I'm getting more. Then we're just gonna do some partials. We're gonna take the weight away from our body and we're just gonna push out. We're gonna keep the pressure on our delts. Simple. We don't have to add 5 more reps of you're perfect, then we're like, all right, good. Because we're just missing the mark there. Remember, we want to isolate the muscle as much as we can without using momentum. That's how we're gonna grow as optimal as possible. To go from that, supersetting that to bent over lateral raise, the only problem I have with that is that if I'm someone who is, say, in press time, or I'm in press time and I have weak delts, weak rear delts. A lot of people do not train their rear delts. It's something that gets missed all the time. I'm gonna make sure that I have enough energy to give that muscle the enough attention so it can actually grow. So I'm not gonna superset that exercise whatsoever. I'm gonna do it one and do the next one.
You'll already be pre-fatigued, you're already doing the exercise, and so why not add another 10 seconds to your exercise?
So here's what I would do if I would change something for Greg. Instead of going from a standing dumbbell lateral raise, and I have trisets, I've done 3 motion lateral raises. I've done, supersets with, shoulder lateral raises and reverse. What I wanna do is I wanna give my body a break, right? So put it this way, if you're watching Greg's set, and he's done his set to failure, and in his video, he basically said, you're gonna do one side to whatever, and then you're gonna be super tired, and then you're gonna be so tired for the next one. What do you think is gonna happen when you're doing a superset? When you're standing up from here first, and then you're bending down here. As we can see in Greg's video, his back's rolled. His back's rolled here and he's trying to get it out here and he's working here. And you know what? Training harder than last time, great, good shit. I like the idea. But for me, if I'm gonna make sure that I give my delts the proper amount of attention, I'm gonna give my back a little break. So simple, easy fix for that is get yourself a bench. Prop it up from here. You do your set and you're like, and then you're like, partials, oh my God, it hurts so bad, this sucks, And you're like, all right, man. And then we sit on here like this, boom, we're over here, give our back a break, and now our rear delts are actually working here without worrying about balancing myself, and now from here out, then I can work on doing my rear delts with the dumbbells and getting a lot more out of this exercise because I'm not worrying about my back being so tired by going to failure by standing. No momentum here, and I'm pulling up and getting the rear delts the tension they need without focusing on my back being tired or hinging or all those things. It's a simple fix. Do I agree with Greg? I do, 100%. I think that, you know, 2 exercises, you can definitely do 2 exercises, but when it comes to like the delts, we got an anterior delt, we got a lateral head, and we got a rear head, right? Maybe 3 exercises to hit all heads. Now I've had some exercises that you guys can check out right here that I have done that can hit those heads all at once. Pause, hit the head. Hit the head all you want.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the?
Anyway, guys, you want some exercise that are actually gonna hit and target more of your delts, the entire delt, check out these videos right here. Anyway, guys, if you want to see me coach up any more of your favorite influencers, let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, guys, you know how it is, iron sharpens iron, progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing.